Alright, people, grab your yarn. We're going to be watching Yarn Up today, and quickly should have done this beforehand. That'll be for me finding something to watch later.
France, 1944, and the 103rd Infantry Regiment are playing their part in the liberation of Europe from under the jack-booted heel of the Germans.
What the fuck does Jack do?
30-year-old rifleman Joe Medicine Crow
Oh, hell yeah,
is a
this
scout for the
guy.
regiment, a job he is uniquely suited for.
He's the
Joe
Latin
comes
word
from a long
chief.
line of Crow.
And also I hear he told his nephew, no, even though you did all these things, you did this one thing differently. So no, you cannot become a war chief because it's one thing, and I will get you that if they get at the end of the video, if the point comes up in the video.
Warriors. His grandfather, White Man Runs Him, was a scout for General Custer in 1876 at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Now scouting through the French countryside, he's putting the skills he has learned from his elders to good use. But turning a corner in a French village, he surprises a German. Without hesitation, Joe goes to work.
Nice.
Quickly disarming the man by grabbing his rifle, Joe too puts his rifle down. This is going to be a brave fight between warriors. Joe jumps upon the German. The struggle is desperate, but Joe has the upper hand. Wrestling on the ground, the German soldier slowly succumbs to Joe's strength. Grabbing the German by the neck with both hands, Joe starts to take the fight to a terrible conclusion. Resisting as much as he can, the German starts to feel his breath and his life ebb away.
Oh man, yeah,
Desperate now
that's
and
scary.
helpless, in fear, he starts to shout out as much as he is able. His last words, Mutti, Mutti, Mama. Joe is woken from his battle rage by the German's cries for his mother and
I
releases
feel
his grip.
bad for that guy.
Picking up his and the German's rifle, Joe decides to make the young soldier a prisoner of war, drags him off the ground,
The stories I've heard about this incident, they say he lets the guy go.
and marches him back to
But
camp
I'm guessing something got lost in
by
translation.
touching his enemy without killing him. And
I'm guessing something that got lost in the game of internet telephone.
taking an enemy's weapon, Joe has just completed 2 out of the 4 deeds he needs to
Hell yeah.
become a Crow warrior chief. Joe's company continued the push through France, right up to the German border. Joe was in K Company. Before going into battle, he would paint Crow battle paint on his arms under his uniform and place a painted eagle feather under his helmet for good luck. Reaching the line between France and Germany, Joe's commanding officer, a lieutenant, told Joe to jump into the valley that formed this part of the Siegfried line. Joe later reminisced that Stars and Stripes magazine were there to take a picture of the brave young Indian warrior who was probably the first American soldier to cross into Germany.
Well,
Guns and pillboxes faced each other across the valley, but Joe made it down to the bottom okay. It was a fierce battle, and he realized that he would need dynamite to take out the German pillboxes. Having demonstrated
This
his
one
skill
steals a bunch of
and
horses.
versatility on many occasions, Joe was chosen for the mission to take them out. His CO said, "Joe, if anyone can get through, you can." Joe selected 6 more men to accompany him, so his war party formed 7 men in total. In Joe's words, 7 men is a good Crow number, a good lucky number for Crows.
that's long you don't
They
in a
looked
lot
up
of
the valley
places.
towards the German positions. It was a high, muddy hill, laced with mines, and all the while strategic positions were covered from the many entrenched German pillboxes. Joe and his men set off smoke screens and started the ascent. Seeing the smoke screens, the Germans knew something was up and rained down fire and hand grenades upon Joe and his men. It was a tough situation, and the men were fearful, but Joe reassured them and said, "Follow me, we'll be all right." Getting up on the hill, Joe and his men took out the German positions with dynamite. Finally able to rest, they were given a hot meal for their deeds. By leading a war
Nice
party
memories.
and coming back safely and victoriously, Joe had now completed 3 of the 4 deeds needed to become a Crow war chief. The final deed that
Yay,
needed to be
horses,
completed was to
Those are for the realistic horses.
steal an
I thought they were
enemy's
actual
horse.
horses.
Horses were traditionally prized by the Crow, but this was a mechanized battlefield in 1945, so this last deed was unlikely to be fulfilled. That is until fate played its hand. Late one evening, while scouting in Germany, Joe spotted a group of enemy officers on horseback.
Yeah, some
The
places,
Germans rode off and headed
there's some places you can't go in a car. Sometimes you need a horse. I'm not sure dirt bikes existed back then.
down into a valley, unsaddled their horses and put them in a small corral, and headed inside a house inside the valley. While Joe was watching the house from a distance, 4 German officers marched up the road. Spotting Joe, they shouted to him, "Halt!" Incredibly, they then saluted him and put their hands behind their heads and offered their surrender, along with the 200 German soldiers accompanying them. The war was coming to an end and they saw their opportunity to surrender to an American. Joe wasn't to be distracted though, and he sent them towards his unit and carried on staking out the corral.
I thought he just stole the horses. I didn't know he told guys to surrendering guys, hey, go over there.
Observing the house throughout the night, Joe's company arrived. At daybreak, Joe told his commanding officer, "Give me 5 minutes and I'll go and take care of them horses." The CO agreed. Drawing upon his skill, Joe stealthily approached the corral and carefully opened the big white gate that was holding the horses in. Finding the best horse, Joe made an Indian bridle out of rope, slipped it over the horse's neck, and jumped on. Stampeding 50 horses out of the corral, Joe let out a crow battle cry. Woken from their slumber by an Indian warrior, the German SS officers ran out and were promptly dealt with by the waiting American. Joe watched the short battle from a rise, on horseback. He said it felt pretty good to be a foreign boy sitting in Germany on these beautiful thoroughbred show-off horses. After the war, he returned to his people and told them of his act.
There is the cat. Okay, so Chief Medicine Joe Crow's nephew, he did 3 out of the 4 things that he did in Vietnam, except for the horse thing. He found a Vietnamese guy with a couple elephants clearing some stuff, and they were being used in war, so he basically stole 2 elephants. And when he went to say, "Hey, I did all these things, I feel like stealing the elephants should count as horses," they said no. Elephants do not count as horses. And Joe was on that committee, and some people think, and I'm just thinking that maybe sometimes there could be some things could be revision a little bit. Some rules could take another look at. Because, hey, sometimes we have to steal something that isn't a horse, but is a pack animal.
Tribal elders named him a war chief for completing all the required deeds. Joe went on to finish his studies and received a doctorate, as well as receiving 3 honorary PhDs. In 2008, more than 60 years after the war, Joe was awarded the Bronze Star for his service, as well as the Légion d'honneur for his actions in liberating France. Dr. Joseph Medicine Crow also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Obama in 2009.
Hell yeah,
He
he
said
earned
in his
it.
later years, "I was proud to serve my country, to bring freedom, prosperity, and to help the whole world." If you like this video, and we hope you do, please consider supporting.
I mean, what if a guy steals an animal from a war party? Sometimes camels are used as horses, because there was an attempt by the U.S. to have a camel corpse, or however the hell you pronounce it. Instead of horses, you had camels, and I believe there was some wild camels somewhere in the U.S. because they got loose. So, yeah, that was the story of Chief Medicine Joe Crow. Do you think elephants and camels, if they were stolen because they were basically used in a similar method as horses, would that count as a requirement to become a war chief, or not? Because someone in the comments explain, give their 2 cents. I would not mind having some comments, because let's face it, sometimes people need to ask stupid questions. See you in the next one. Later.